Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the Ahankara party. Welcome to the Ahankara party.
Come back to Ahankara.
Okay, so today we're going to start off with questions like I promised from last time because I didn't leave time for that. So any questions you have from Ahankara, class 1 or class 2, I'm happy to answer. Then we'll review a little bit about what we talked about last week. Then we'll do our last 2 difficult people that we had. And then I'm going to talk about hate, one of the characteristics of Ahankara. Okay? So questions. Does anybody have any? If you're in the chat, please just turn your mic on because I can't see anybody. Thank you very much. Janava, go ahead.
Yes, I was wondering because I can see a lot of myself in those difficult people, and I was wondering if it is like Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva, if that you have all of them, but there is one who is predominant. Is it like this, or?
Could be.
It could be.
It could be. It's not that it's not so black and white. Like I'm difficult person number 2, and that's it. Yeah. We have a mix, but in general, one's predominant. But you could have 2 predominant, okay. Or 3.
I have a question.
Dowji, yes.
How do you get rid of Ahankara?
That's why you're here. Welcome. Krishnadas, you had one? Already answered. Okay. Anything else? I think that Alex was going to ask something. Go ahead, Vilas.
Hello. Oh, okay.
Purushottam?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think I have a little different understanding in terms of there is only one guna, one sattva or rajas or tamas is prominent. Like Bhagavad Gita says, rajas and tamas are defeated by sattva, and then sometimes rajas defeated tamas guna and sattva guna, like that. So it's only one is prominent. Not all of them three be prominent, or not all of them would be, minimized. It's always one which you act upon on your Ahankara.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Vilas, were you going to say something?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did somebody?
Radhe, Joshika.
Radhe.
Can I say now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I was wondering, am I imagining, or you said something like that these things do not apply to neurodivergent people at the beginning of this course? Or am I imagining? Did you say so? Is it true?
I can't remember. I think you're asking something probably from 6 months ago or something that you asked. I don't know. Do you have a question now? I mean, are you saying that?
I somehow imagine that you said that these rules, these things that you are talking about in these classes do not really apply to neurodivergent people. Is it true or not?
Can you tell me why you think that would be true? Like an autistic person. Just tell me, just with your buddhi, why you think that would not apply to them?
I don't know. I don't think so. I was just thinking about this question, and I didn't go deep into this because mostly those neurodivergent people, like autistic people, they always display all those behaviors, annoying, difficult behaviors. They always do.
Right.
So
then why wouldn't this apply to them?
It probably applies, but it's probably connected to further studying that we will do following this, when we find out more how this occurs in a person. And my next question was, I was wondering, okay, when I'm somebody who is taking care of children, I read some books about it, and we are encouraged to say difficult behavior, not a difficult person. So I was wondering about this as well. Should we say difficult person, or should we say difficult behavior? Or are these just 2 different things?
Difficult behavior is better, right? Because then they don't feel like they're a bad person. I'm calling it difficult people now, like for us, but to label somebody a difficult person is not so nice, right? But a difficult behavior, it's like, I love you, but I don't like that behavior. So that's a good point. Yeah, difficult behavior is better. That you can change. The behavior can change, but the whole personality is little.
So basically, it doesn't make any difference, and we can use it interchangeably, and it's better to use difficult behavior. Okay.
Yeah.
And then my further question would be, okay, I'm raising a child, so how should I raise him or her that their behavior is not difficult and that their ahankara is not difficult? Or is ahankara always just difficult? Because I was looking into your definition of ahankara, and it sounds more negative. I mean, is it always just negative, ahankara?
No, there's positive, definitely has positive parts too. You need the ahankara to act. I don't know if you remember me saying that, but it's the agent of action. So we need the ahankara. I'm just focusing on the parts that, the negative parts now.
Oh, you're focused. Okay.
Yeah, it gives you an ability to act. So if you're in the mode of sattva, you're going to act in a sattvic way. If you're in the mode of rajas, you're going to act in a rajasic way, or tamasa, tamasic way, you know. But in terms of how to raise a kid, it starts with you improving yourself. Because kids are like sponges, and what they absorb the most is how they're treated by their parents and the behavior the parents model to them. So, oftentimes if people I work with who have kids, they'll bring the kid into therapy. They drag the 5-year-old into therapy with me, and I'll say, "Let's talk about you," So if the parent oftentimes projects their issue onto their kid, and they don't realize that they're the one with the issue who needs to work on their ahankara.
So it's always fix a parent first, right?
That'd be the best. Because otherwise it's a hypocrite. You look like a hypocrite, right? If you act a certain way and you tell your kid, like, don't copy me. You be like this. You be really good, but I'm going to be bad to you. So that makes the child confused at the minimum.
But it's very hard because it's hard sometimes to spot behavior in yourself, and then
That's true.
it's more obvious in other people, and with children it's also obvious more than with yourself, and then
it's difficult. You're right.
Difficult and different topic.
Well, it's better to work personally with a therapist. They can help you see it if you're open to that. It's very hard to take this class and be like, oh, I've worked through it all myself from this 1-hour class once a week. It's not really that possible to see your own ahankara, to work through your own samskaras just on your own. The ahankara will make you think you've done it, though. The ahankara will make you think, I've got it all set. I'm all set. I've worked through it all. I understood, but that's what the ahankara makes you think. And it's also difficult if you're raising a child, because if you have a partner, you could be doing the work, you could be in therapy working through it, but then your partner's not. And so then it's like, now what do I do? We're like this now, I understand, and I'm operating different with the child, but my partner's not. He doesn't agree or she doesn't agree. They think, what's so bad about, there's some of the common fights that parents have, like, should we let the child cry it out or not, Or how long should they stay in the bed with us? And then it's really quite different depending on your understanding of the inner child and samskaras. So it's not an easy question. That's why I'm saying if you have a therapist who gets to know your story, they'll be like your number one fan supporting you through the changes you need to go through probably to be a better parent.
Yes, thank you.
They're good questions. Thank you. Kamala?
I'd just like to say one thing, Joshika.
Yes.
I think initially she asked, is anybody free from these 3 gunas? Is that was the right question? That was the question I understood or saw it?
I don't know. Did somebody ask?
In Bhagavad Gita in 18th chapter, verse number 40, Krishna says that there is nobody in this world or in the Devloka or any place is free from the 3 guna.
Thank you.
Sattva, Rajas and Tamas.
Kamala?
So I have a question about this. When Ahankara makes me feel like cause to love people, that makes me feel superior or comfortable. The ego feels comfortable in that condition when somebody is So
When somebody's what?
glorifying or telling
Praising you or something.
praising
Okay,
or
yeah.
something like that, you know. So then I want to understand how is the dynamic between feeling good when somebody is telling you something and then the love bombing, because this love bombing sounds more negative, no? That somebody wants to get something from you. How is this dynamic?
That's a good question. So what's the difference between love bombing versus somebody genuinely praising you?
Yeah, and also because Ahankara likes to feel like,
Yeah, yeah,
so then I bond easier with people who are appreciating support.
yeah.
But then how is that real appreciation and how is this love bombing with this dynamic to get something out of the person?
I think it's pretty rare that somebody's not trying to get something when they praise.
Okay,
It's the more, it's just depending to the extent that they want something.
okay,
Even if it's just that you feel happy so you don't get angry at them. Or so you feel happy so you give them something.
okay.
So you feel happy so, it's always something, it's not usually just a genuine, or so you feel happy so you praise them back. Or there's something usually, and I'm not saying that they're purposely doing it. A lot of times they're not aware, even with the love bombing, to the extreme of like really trying to manipulate. They're not aware often. But most people, if you really dig down, why are you doing that? There's always a reason for what we do.
When something is lacking in ourselves, let's say something is lacking in me, then automatically I'm being attracted to somebody who is providing it by
Yeah.
praising, for example.
Yeah, it has to do with childhood trauma.
Yeah, something like.
Yeah, whatever you didn't get, whatever your inner child is still needing, that's who you're going to hook onto the most.
Okay.
Good, good job. Krishna Das? No? Okay, you already got it done. Okay. Is Alex there? He had a question last week. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here. I forget exactly what you called them, but there were some sattvic characteristics of people, and it seemed to me that it could be easy for the mind or the ahankara to think that it is doing those sattvic things, but they're actually codependent behaviors. And
Okay.
I'm curious on how to differentiate the two. I forget exactly the term that you used or what they were called.
But your question is, how do you know if it's really sattvic or if it's
Yeah.
codependent, right? And the ahankara might convince you that you're doing the sattvic thing. So the way to tell is sometimes when you do it and you don't get the appreciation back, then you're like, oh shoot, I was actually expecting something there. If it's really sattvic, you're just doing it and you're not expecting anything back, you know? But if you do it and just say you make a really nice food for someone and they're like, ooh, this tastes horrible, right? And you're like, oh, I just spent 2 hours making you the best brownies ever, you know? And you don't like them? Well, you clean the dishes or something, you know? And you'll see the next time I make you something. So that means that you were expecting some praise or appreciation. So
okay.
you just watch yourself over the
Different.
week, yeah.
One more question. I'm curious about this want to kind of possess love in some way, either label it or something, or and is that a feature of Ahankara that
Yes.
needs to be worked?
Yes.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is slowly go through a lot of characteristics. So that is one that I haven't really gone deep into. Today I'm going to go into hate as one of the characteristics, but possessiveness I'll go into for sure. But yes, it's a characteristic of Ahankara. The more we possess, the better, the stronger, the bigger, the greater we are, you know, the more we can possess of the things that bolster our identity, you know. So that's a good question.
Thank
Gargamuni?
you.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Gargamuni?
So can you explain the difference between rationalizing and intellectualizing?
So intellectualizing is when you go in your head when I'm trying to get you to go to your heart. It's very common. So if I say, how do you feel? And you say, I think that she's angry at me. No, how do you feel? So intellection is analyzing the other person, the situation, anything but feeling a feeling. That's intellectualizing. Rationalizing is making excuses for your basically bad behavior. And being like, no, it was because of that. No, I did that because of this. Like, why didn't you walk the dog? No, I didn't walk the dog because it's raining out. Okay, but the dog pooped in the house. So you needed to figure out a way to do something with the dog so it doesn't poop in the house. Well, it was raining out. It's your fault. You should have walked it earlier. Like making excuses, for bad behavior, basically. That makes sense? Okay. Anything else? Okay, Bhushan.
Hello, this is Vikas. My question is that there is a notion of personality disorders. I've heard in the psychology literature. So Ahankara is like a major part of personality. Correct me if I'm wrong here. The question is that when you describe these difficult types, is there any line you draw between a disorder and a difficult person?
Yeah, I would say it's, the DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistics Manual where you can analyze, it's hundreds of pages where you can analyze a person. There's a section in there of personality disorders, right? And there's identifying criteria for what that is. So these difficult people have characteristics of, for example, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, many other ones that are histrionic personality disorder that might overlap with difficult people, but it's probably case by case where you have to analyze the person and see if they have enough of their criteria to call them an actual diagnosis versus just being a difficult person. But it's not an overarching thing, I would say. I'd have to get out the manual and I'd have to go through and read through those criteria. And I want to shy away from that because what I don't want to do is, that's why I'm not using any names like that, because I don't want to create a community where everyone's calling each other those things.
Right.
That's
Maybe
like
if I
a
may ask
personal thing.
Yeah, if I may ask a follow-up, is it too simplifying to say that if some of these negative characteristics which become too intense would be considered to be disorder, you start interfering with your life and you start behaving like it becomes real problem in your life? Would that be a simplistic definition of it? I mean, I'm not a psychologist.
That's a little loose.
Little loose, right?
Yeah, you'd have to really go through, you have to watch the person over time. Personality disorders, you don't diagnose after one. Just saying, oh, that's enough that something's not going well in their life or something, or they're dysfunctional, that's not enough. It's very specific, So I would say shy away from that because you're not, I don't want to start talking about it in that way, Bhushan, because I don't know what the benefit would be to you, for example.
Yeah, makes sense.
Makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
So I caught something, which was something like, okay, when by analyzing at what you're getting angry at, this shows your attachments. I think you said something along those lines. Mm-hmm. At least that's what I understood. And I wondered if you could maybe spend some moments to unpack this a little bit more. So my understanding is that when I get angry at, let's say I'm angry because I think someone is lazy. Yeah, I think, oh, so lazy. Then why am I getting angry at this behavior? According to this rule, would be that I am attached to not being lazy. Maybe I'm attached to being very, very busy, mm-hmm. and therefore I'm angry at someone who's whom I perceive as being lazy. Is this the idea?
Yeah, it's a good analysis. There's many layers to it, but the Ahankara level, that's right. You identify as being a non-lazy person, and here's a lazy person. And especially if they're supposed to be like helping you do something. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but that would be worse. If you're working together on a team and you're the overachiever and then there's a lazy one, it's going to trigger your Ahankara because you're trying to work together. So then that means your Ahankaras are supposed to be together and they're making you look bad in a way. And you're like overdoing it, I'm the hard worker. I'm the non-lazy one, but they're bringing you down. But even if you just see them around, that can also trigger a part of you that you're actually trying to repress. It's like, so it's deeper than just Ahankara. So there's a samskara, that's something about you that you haven't accepted in yourself. So when somebody out in the world represents that and shows that to you, you're like, I hate you. I'm so angry at you. Because you're showing a part. How can you be so comfortable being lazy? I'm working my butt off to not be lazy. And you're just so comfortable in your laziness. So it's a part of you that's like in the basement, samskara land, unaccepted yet. Interrupt him? Sorry, Vilas, go ahead.
I was just faintly recalling a question someone asked in the chat last time, but the person is not here now.
Okay.
So maybe then we leave it, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. Thank you.
What is a healthy Ahankara? You were saying that sometimes it goes up and sometimes it goes down. So I would like to understand what is a sane sense of identity for a person who is not triggered by trying to be better than others.
What's a healthy Ahankara?
Right.
Like kind of in the material level of just sattvic.
Just a normal person.
A sattvic Ahankara.
How should it be manifested?
How should they be manifested? So are you asking in general, like how it should look? In general in life or some specific situation?
No, just in general, what it is.
A healthy Ahankara, so
Right.
it's a sattvic Ahankara, which means you see everybody as one, you have a high level of empathy, so you're not, cognitive is there, but that's part of the compassion empathy. So you're always thinking of the other person, how you might affect the other person, you're not thinking of yourself first. It's like, you are to take care of basic needs, but then it's like, oh, let me think of how I'm affecting the other people. You're thinking of doing what's good for the group, not at the expense of hurting yourself, but what's good for the group. You're understanding. You wouldn't be angry if somebody's lazy, for example, or you're not going to get angry at people because you're able to get in their shoes and go, oh, they're having a hard day. Maybe they were up all night, or whatever. You're able to see the other person's point of view. And in general, that's the idea. Okay. Anything else, or should we move? Go ahead. We're going to be on Ahankara for a while, so take your time. There's no rush. You have a question, Vilas? Or?
So I didn't fully understand to reply to my question. What I'm not clear about is this part of, let's stick with the example, yeah? I think that I'm super busy contributor, and I'm angry that someone else in my team is lazy, right? So now, if the Ahankara has the idea to always be superior, then I'm already superior, and probably others can also see it. So why should I now get angry at the other person?
So two reasons. One is because you're supposed to be working together, so you're superior to them, but now if it's a team effort, they're making you look bad because you're on the same team. You're team A. Okay, but if that's not that example and you just see a lazy person, it's because you're probably working too hard and you're pushing yourself too hard as a response to being, my guess is in childhood, having too much responsibility. So it's a samskara that you're pushing yourself too hard, you're not getting enough sleep, you're not taking care of some needs, you're not doing what you need at a basic sense in order to be the overachiever child to please mom or dad. And you're still doing it. And so when you see somebody who can get away with being so lazy, you have like hatred to them. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you? I've been working my whole life, My adrenals are fried. I'm completely sleep deprived, My thyroid is, and you are literally lazing around and you're saying that you're tired, you want a nap? Like, get up, So this is from a samskara, that's what I'm saying. It's deeper than just Ahankara. But your Ahankara is triggered because it's like, I am, and you're actually, it's so important for you to be seen as this very hardworking person because it's overcompensating for a samskara from childhood of basically you wouldn't have gotten love if you didn't do that behavior. So it's what we call like a defense mechanism. Yeah. Does that make more sense? Or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Ahankara party time? Okay. No other questions? Okay. So now I'm going to bring out a little treat. This is chewing gum. Do you remember what Babaji says about it? Okay. So if anybody, it's offered. If anybody would like a piece to experience your Ahankara, remember what he says? Sorry. Oh, ooh, two more there. Here. Maybe Narottam can help me hand some out. So chewing gum, what Babaji says about the Ahankara, thank you, is that it's like chewing gum, right? No matter how much you chew it, just, see, he doesn't like it. Do you hate it, Daoji? Does it not match with your identity? So, chewing gum is, what's the thing about chewing gum? What did Babaji say? Does anybody remember about how chewing gum relates to the Ahankara? Yeah. So let's just have an experience. Boomer. Okay, you got your go? Oh. No matter how much, no matter how much you chew, what happens? What happens? It's sweet in the beginning, but it never dissolves. You just keep chewing on it, right? You just keep chewing on it and keep chewing on it. Keep chewing on it, right? So that's like Ahankara. No matter how much we beat it down, it's going to come back up. No matter how much you beat it down, it's very sugary, right? So welcome to your Ahankara firsthand. This is how it is. No matter how much you chew, you can blow bubbles with it, you can do things, but it's always going to keep popping back up. Okay? So here's our review of the soft-hearted sattva and the freaking out fragile. This is what we talked about last time. That's what Alex was saying, the name, soft-hearted sattva. So here's some of the characteristics of Narottam of being a soft-hearted sattva. Unfortunately, the thing is going over some, I don't know why it does that, but okay. So, sensitive to others' feelings, as sensitive to others as they are their own. So if somebody else is, saying something, you're like, oh, I feel bad for that person. I'm not going to put them in that position. Instead of like, oh, I feel bad for them, but I'm going to ask them. Actually, it wouldn't even be I feel bad for them. I have this need that I need met, so I'm just going to ask them anyway. I don't really care what their position is, But the soft-hearted sattva is like, ooh, I don't want to do that to them, because that would compromise them in some way, So you're always thinking of the others and you're sensitive to that. You're empathetic, humble, open-minded. That's another one, open-minded, right? Like someone's like, let's try it that way. No, only this way. That's the opposite. But soft-hearted sattva is like, I never considered that. Maybe, How's the gum? Your Ahankara is still with you? Okay. So soft-hearted sattva is also insightful, remorseful. That's another one, takes responsibility. So if you're the soft-hearted sattva and someone said, you hurt me because you did this, then you think, oh, first of all, insightful, and you introspect and you say, what did I do to hurt you? And actually, if you're like first-class soft-hearted sattva, somebody wouldn't have to tell you that you hurt them. You would figure it out yourself because you're able to get in their shoes and think, oh, I hurt that person. I know them, I know their Ahankara. That's hurtful to them. I know how they see themselves. And then you would go and you take accountability for your mistakes. You'd say, I'm really sorry. I wasn't thinking when I did that. And that must have made you feel X, Y, and Z, because you probably can guess if you know them and if you're empathetic. So you take responsibility for mistakes. You create harmonious relations, right? Because you're able to read that person's Ahankara, and then you're able to adjust, But the codependent, the way they adjust is they lay flat on the ground like a doormat, and then eventually they get resentful and they punch you in the face, and you're like, what? What did I do? But it's because the codependent doesn't make good boundaries, so they look like a soft-hearted sattva. That's what Alex was getting at. And they are soft-hearted, but they don't take care of themselves. So they end up getting depleted, they end up saying yes to too much, and then they end up kind of either breaking down or exploding or something. So it's not really soft-hearted sattva. In other words, they create harmonious relations because they say yes to everything. They just agree to everything. But the soft-hearted sattva is very compassionate, very considerate, understanding, and inclusive. They include everybody. Because Ahankara is the great divider. Ahankara is that me, mine, I, it's me, it's all about number one, And if you can make me feel more number one, even better than I already am, then you can be with me, But if not, get away, And so the opposite is soft-hearted sattva, which is very inclusive. Let's include everybody in this. And then freaking out fragile is the opposite one of sensitivity, right? They're either rajasic or tamasic, the Ahankara. They're very insensitive to other people's feelings. They're not good at getting a pulse on someone else's feelings, But they're very overly sensitive to their own feelings. And they're so overwhelmed by their own feelings that they don't realize how selfish they're being in the relation, basically. They have a very highly distorted view of their self because it's all about me and what I need and how I feel, and what I like and what I don't like. And they're always kind of on high alert to make sure nobody upsets their position and their Ahankara, They're on high alert to see who's going to do that. And one trick they use is this love bombing, not consciously most of the time, but they're overly praising or overly doing things to get you on their side to make them pumped up and feel good. Okay? But they also do this intellectualizing thing where they start analyzing others instead of doing what would be the soft-hearted sattva doing, instead of feeling their feelings with their buddhi and feeling and then analyzing and introspecting and saying, what was my part of this situation? You know, how can I take responsibility for what I did? Instead, they intellectualize, they analyze the other person down to the bone, down to the last hair, you know. And then they deny their own feelings, and then eventually they attack the other person because they can't see their side of it. Okay, so that's a quick review. Yes, Malati?
In the beginning, the characteristics of Ahankara were all quite negative, I would say.
Yeah.
Like always want to be number one and all these things. So now in the soft-hearted sattva, we don't see any of these characteristics.
Right.
So is it that they had this at some point and are so refined and so evolved that the Ahankara has molded that way, or is it? I mean, they're not suppressing it.
They're not suppressing it. So basically, it's really hard because I'm only teaching one part of the mind now, Ahankara, but basically what happens is the buddhi gets the knowledge and goes, oh shoot, I'm in Rajas or Tamas, and then it gets itself into sattva. Buddhi is the only thing that can do that. But naturally the Ahankara, unless you're like some enlightened being who just dropped into the earth, but otherwise, most of the time, we're in the Rajas or Tamas. So then through the buddhi, through the sattvic buddhi, when we get the information and we go, oh shoot, I need to control and adjust myself, you know?
And in case of a codependent who's always soft and
who looks like a
agreeable,
soft heart, who looks like that, yeah.
But his Ahankara or her Ahankara is still
Tamasic.
Wants to be number one and all that, or
yeah, but they do it in such a smooth way that you don't realize. They don't even realize it. They do it in a way that's not aggressive. It's the tamasic. It's more the low, the kind of depressed or heavy way, you know. And it's more like it looks like a servant. It looks like, oh, how can I serve you, you know? But they're still. It's actually still so they can get the praise, so they can be number one, so they can be the most humble, you know. Whereas the Rajasic is more the aggressive, humble one, I guess. But it's both, yeah. Okay? Let's move on. So, yes, Vilas. Chewing the gum still? Ahankara. I know. But that's still there. It won't go away. It keeps coming up. Yeah, I think I should move a little bit just to... Okay, so this is a review of our difficult people. So last time we did 3, right? We did the know-it-all, arrogant. They share their opinion on every issue, and they know they're right. They think they know more than everyone else. They act defensive if they get challenged. They tell others what to do. And they feel superior to others. And they like to make others feel inferior. Okay? Then there's the aggressive type, the abusive. Either they're physically abusive or emotionally abusive. It's a lot harder to tell if somebody's being emotionally abusive, especially if you have childhood samskaras of your parents being emotionally abusive to you. Actually, you might tend to gravitate towards those types of people in your adult life, which is very strange to think, but that's your comfort zone, you know? So it's like, I don't know anybody who's been emotionally abusive to me, but once you get into therapy, the therapist will help you see, oops, it might have been mom, it might have been dad, it might have been someone very close to you that you didn't realize, you know? So that's hard to see sometimes. So also the aggressive person will bully or intimidate you. They're demanding. They're criticizing, they'll be like accusing you of things, they don't have patience, and they need to prove they're right. And then the passive type, remember we talked about that one? Well, why is passive bad? Passive seems good, you know? But we were saying, well, they never offer any ideas, so you can't really read how you are doing with them. It's like you feel like you're in a relationship with a ghost in a way. It's like, get your finger on their pulse, it's very hard to do that, you know? You can't tell. They don't talk that much, they shy away from participating in any conversations. They're confused about what they want, you know, so sometimes you're like, do you want this? No, or do you want that? I don't know. Okay, and so then you start maybe amping up more. Okay, let's just try it. How about we do this? But then they go and they complain. They're not happy with it, you know, so it's difficult to figure out how to please them. They're not assertive, and then they seem kind of aloof, kind of detached, you know, from you, so that's also difficult. Okay, so we've covered 4 difficult people. There's 2 more, a negative type and the yes man, or yes woman, okay? So here's the characteristics again. You had them from last week. It's the same ones I have here for you if you need to take a snapshot or whatever you need to do. And let's analyze the next 2 difficult type of, or we could say behaviors, to be fair, instead of people, right? The next type, difficult behavior clusters or whatever, for these last 2, okay? So this difficult person behavior type is negative, right? So this type thinks that things are never going to work out. They remain consistently negative. Like, have you ever had a conversation with someone, and no matter what you say, you just feel worse after talking with them. They just like rained on your parade, and you're like, oh, I had my good news I was telling them, and somehow it got twisted into this negative thing, either about my news, or they turned it into all about them and their a negative thing, you know. Or you were hopeful about something, and they're like, oh, I don't, who cares? I don't think so, or something, you know. It's one other thing I'll say about this is oftentimes if you're doing this, if you're this type, just say, you have a lot of these characteristics, you might not even realize it because you're with yourself all day long. That's why I'm saying if you're in therapy, that's when the therapist can help you see your pattern and your theme, and they'll give you different exercises to do or different things to read and go, oh, shoot. And it's good when you realize it yourself because then you can fix it, you know? So it's not a bad thing to go to therapy and have somebody help you see it in a compassionate way. So they believe that anything and everything will not work out. They seldom say anything positive. They make many negative statements. This brings others down, it depresses others around them, and it drains the energy out of a whole room of people, you know? So this also might be the person's depressed. Oftentimes if it's a negative person, they have something they haven't been able to digest, you know, and they may be struggling with depression, and a lot of people don't know what depression actually looks like. They'll be like, no, that person's not crying all the time, and they're not in bed. They can get out of bed, and they're not crying. But that's not how you identify depression. There's many factors in depression. So that's why it's good to understand what it is and go to a professional. Don't try to help your friend if they're depressed, you know. I mean, help them to get to a doctor or get to a professional who can assess it, you know, because now people just go on the internet. Oh, I looked up the signs. I don't have it. It's like, well, at least go to somebody and get an assessment, you know, a professional to help you see, because it's tricky. Sometimes depression can get, and then people will say, I don't know why, you know, so-and-so committed suicide. You know, sometimes to that point, somebody will commit suicide and still you had no idea they were depressed. You know, so it's one of those like invisible diseases, mental health. You know, they're invisible diseases you can't see. So it would be compassionate to, if you're feeling that, it would be compassionate to yourself to go talk to someone to get an assessment. And if you know somebody who is, to encourage them to go. They even have in a lot of countries, especially like in the US, they have 1-800 hotlines you can call and just be like, I'm feeling anonymous, I'm feeling depressed. And somebody is there and they will talk to you and they will try to help you, you know. So that's a side note about negative. But difficult person number 5 or type is this negativity. Okay, so now let's look back and see what we see that might relate in terms of the Ahankara characteristics or the freaking out fragile characteristics that might relate to this negative type. Okay? What do you guys think? Does anybody want to share something you see, Malati?
Denial. Everything is denied.
Yeah.
Anything the person says is just being rejected and denied.
Yeah. So denial is denial. The way I meant denial was like you deny your own feelings. Mm-hmm. So then, are you saying that they're denying that they are depressed or something?
I think they deny what the other person says. The other person may speak about their own feeling, or no matter her feeling or the other person's feeling, everything is just blocked.
Yeah,
it's like
that's part of negativity. Yeah, you can't get through it. That's right. Yep. What else? What other characteristics do you see? Ahankara. Go ahead, Vilas.
I think there's a lot of criticism here. I mean, when I'm like that, then I'm critical, right?
That's right. Very good. Yep. Anything else?
Also, you meant...
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hate themselves and hate everyone around them.
Yep. That's right.
Lacks awareness.
Lacks awareness, that's right, Purushottam, yep. Go ahead, Vilas.
Also rationalizes.
Rationalize. Okay. How do they rationalize, would you say?
Because they say things will not work out. So
Okay.
That's only through the rationalization you can say those things, make those statements.
Okay. Okay, good. Vilas?
Then, sorry, there's insensitivity, because you gave this example that someone is sharing something very positive to me, or about they're hopeful, enthusiastic, or something that they like, and then the negative person will say that, actually, you know, maybe look at it from another side, or what I'm thinking is,
Yeah, very insensitive, right? To be this negative. Anyone else? Krishna Das? You still got that gum going? Yeah. There's Ahankara, still with us? No.
The explanation those making bubbles and everything. So, yeah, I was thinking that proudness is there, even if it's not evident. Because in my case, I feel that bring others down implies that the person considered that his opinion, which is that everything is wrong, over whatever other opinion or something.
Interesting.
Like that,
yeah. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Any other characteristics you see? Go ahead.
Regarding the same point, brings others down, I think it corresponds with a distorted self-view.
Okay.
So this person, but in a very interesting way, this person doesn't say that I know better, but I know that you are all wrong, and that's why.
Very interesting. Yeah, good. Good analysis. Good analysis. Yes, Kamala.
Hates.
Hates. Yep. I think that was Daoji said too. What do you think that you see here that makes it hates?
Because she can't or he cannot accept any other.
Yeah.
Nothing. And is that everything is negative.
Yeah.
And then this kind of
Yeah.
non-acceptance.
Yeah, very good. Good. Anyone else before we go to our sixth difficult type? Rila?
Maybe this distorted self-view.
Yep.
I'm not sure if this was exactly what he wanted to say or what he said, but in my words I would say that when I'm like that, then I think that I'm an expert here, and I help the other people see actually what is all negative about the thing that they're proposing.
It's funny. That's funny, right? Yeah.
Right. Maybe this was what
yeah.
he said.
Yeah.
Just I wanted to share a feeling. It's like the person is already in hatred, in negativity, and when he meets people, I know that you're all wrong. I already hate you, and I just need to pick up what for.
I need to what?
I need to pick something. I need to find a reason to explain you why. But I'm already hate you, and you're all wrong.
Yeah. And what's the reason? I mean, what characteristic is that when they need to find the reason why?
I think intellectualizing.
Intellectualizing.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you explained.
What about rationalizing? Intellectualizing is when you get in your head instead of in your heart, your feelings. Rationalizing is when you find the reason for the thing.
But I think these people, they are not making excuses. They're just intellectualizing, no?
Okay. You make your own definition. That's good. Okay, difficult person 6. Yes man. Yes man or yes woman. They say yes to anything and everything. They have a strong need to be liked. This is the codependent, right? They're agreeable, but it seems fake actually. It seems like, what, don't they ever say no? Why are they so happy all the time, They commit to many actions. Oh yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. I'll go here, I'll go there, sure. But they sometimes don't follow through because they're just saying yes to too much. And then they end up being, it feels kind of flaky. They say what people want to hear. You're like, why are they so agreeable? Everything, they're just agreeing to everything? This feels so weird. Like, don't you want a little pushback? Someone who's going to say, no, I don't agree. Or you're not making sense. Or you don't seem right? And they take ownership over too much. And they crave approval. So that's how you know that's a codependent, Maybe the sattvic type could be agreeable, but if there's, you can see the codependent parts here, right? They can't follow through. That's not sattvic, They crave approval. They appear fake. It's because it is fake. They're just trying to say yes so much so you'll like them. That's it. Okay? So how about any characteristics here that you see in our yes man or yes woman? Krishnadas?
During the whole process, I was thinking when we will use loves there, but this is one of the characteristics of Ahankara, because loves everything, yes, everything, everything.
Yeah.
It's actually just a way to please.
Yeah. Okay,
sincerely
good.
like.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, interesting.
Special and unique. I'm better than everyone else. I always agree and do everything.
Get it on the mic. It's on?
Special and unique.
Okay, special and unique. Why is this person special and unique?
Because I do more than everyone else, and I'm always agreeable, I'm always happy. Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Very special.
You got it. Anything else? Thank you, Dauji.
Maybe also proudness
Okay.
of the title that I am a person that's nice to deal with.
Yeah, I'm a good person.
I'm a good
People
person.
want that title, right? I'm a good person. I'm a nice person. I don't create conflicts. Yes.
I think without intellectualizing and denial, it would be very difficult to maintain such behavior patterns. So I would say that the ahankara of such a person definitely has these characteristics quite strongly.
Okay, so can you be specific about why it would be, what you think is intellectualizing here? And then what's denial here?
So denial would be something like, no, I actually don't need the approval, or no, I don't,
Right.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Yes, I still can do
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I need to sleep only 4 hours, no problem. Which, is kind of a denial for most people. And intellectualizing in the sense of the definition you offered, which is to avoid feelings and just analyzing and thinking, no, it should be done like this because bhakti means to be like this and this is the ideal disciple, and this is now exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
I'm happy if you're happy.
exactly, I just don't feel it.
Yeah, good.
But I think that I should feel it, and I think I feel it, maybe even,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's the denial part. Or actually, that's a rationalization.
Aha.
That's
Okay.
another one. Yes, Gargamuni.
I would say that person is insensitive, because it's not so much about the other person, but it's just about when they see when they are in a situation, they reflect it mostly upon themselves. How they are being seen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Good. That's a subtle insight. So they're also insensitive because just say I'm like, Jonava, here, have this chocolate cake. And you're like, I don't want chocolate cake. I'm like, no, you have to have it. You have to have the chocolate cake. And you're like, I don't want the chocolate cake. And I'm like, no, it's good for you. I made it for you. So when that's insensitive. It's like, no, you're going to like it. Because I just need you to tell me that I made the good chocolate cake for you. So it looks like you're giving or you're generous or you're agreeable, but it's like, actually you're being insensitive to the other person because you just are so desperate to be validated. Good. Anything else, Naruto?
I would also say that this person is a freaking out fragile ahankara.
Okay.
Because, and who likes to love bombing others. And there is a trait, says what people want to hear.
Yeah,
So
yes.
that's why this person
Good.
would always compliment
Yeah.
people around him.
Yes.
And would say something that others would consider. And then they will praise this person.
Yes.
Say, oh, you understand my heart
Yeah.
and you understand
Yeah.
my mind, and
Yes.
this is what will make this person happy.
Very good. Good job. Ready to move? Or anyone else? Ishwara or who? Okay, Bhadra. And then Ishwara. Yes,
Yeah,
Bhadra?
Haribol, Joshika.
Haribol.
One over there. For me, this person is lacks of awareness. Like he really doesn't have awareness of him or herself and her real feelings. He's like very, very afraid of really experiencing that, and that also creates lack of awareness of the other. Even though apparently they are like very empathetic or something, but actually there is not a real connection because they cannot connect with their own feelings or fear, because it's like very fear moving, no?
Good.
It's like
good analysis. Yep.
There's this very distorted self-view and on high alert all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's true also, the high alert. Can you explain why you think that they're on high alert? What specifically made you think that from this description?
Yeah, because they are so thirsty to be approved and accepted and loved that they need any tiny little opportunity to show that they are a good person.
Yeah, very good. Good, Bhadra.
Yeah.
Good analysis. Vilas?
I think also this person is on high alert to not give, to not give the impression that the person has been taking ownership of too much, for example. Yeah, to show that, yes, I'm capable, yes, I'm capable, give me more. Yeah, this maybe also one.
Yeah, it's almost like a hypervigilance. You know, they can't relax, give me more, and I do it. No, you should relax, I'll take care of it, or, don't you think I'm good? You see how hard I'm working and how much work I'm doing? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't see here something about control, but I think sometimes this type of personality, wouldn't it also be that the personality wants to, be irreplaceable or be, be relied on so that the other person doesn't leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's part of it. Thanks to Ahankara. Make sure I'm always number one and your first go-to person. I'm so reliable, Yeah. Did you have something, Bhagavati or Iswara, that you wanted to say?
A competitive, then Bhagavati says.
Okay, okay, competitive.
Competitive, yeah. Because he's not able to appreciate the other and not being, it's not able to to set boundaries.
Mm-hmm. How is that competitive?
Is not appreciating the other because it's only thinking on themselves, saying yes to everything, and so it's like
that's selfish. But competitive would be like, I am going to beat you, and I'm going to be better than you at, I don't know, pick one of these things. Competitive is you're trying to compete. You're trying to be better than someone.
That in the deep, maybe there's something a little bit. That's why it says yes to everything, because you want to be approved and say yes to everything.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to move on because I want to show this about the Ahankara characteristics, about hate, okay? So here's hate. That's what I was going to show you today. I'm not going to get into too much of it, but a little bit. We did insensitive last week, okay? So what is hate? It's an intense dislike, disgust, and a strong aversion to something. Okay? The psychology of hate. Hate is grounded in a sense of perceived threat to the Ahankara. So we talked about your identity, right? Whatever you think you are, in whatever domain, if somebody's threatening that it's going to bring you down, then that you'll hate that person. And if they make you feel inferior to them, they don't even have to say anything. Even if they're just present in the room, or maybe even if you think of them, you could hate them if they make you feel less than how you see yourself. Okay, here's common signs that you hate someone. This is why I want to get into this today, because I want you to think about it over the week. Okay, here's common signs that you hate someone. 1, you can't stand the sight of that person. Even just seeing them, you're like, oh gosh, they're here. You cannot stand their voice even. You're like, I don't want to see them, I don't want to hear them, right? Everything they do annoys you. Like if you've ever been in love with someone, they could do something not that great, but you're like, oh my God, that's so cute how they do that. Isn't that so cute? But someone you hate and they do it, and you're like, that's so annoying, right? Have you ever experienced that? The same behavior in a person you hate and the person you love, and you feel hate towards that, even whatever they do makes you hate them more. I've told you guys stories about my sister, the one right underneath, 2 years younger than me. Anything and everything she did when we were kids growing up, I hated about her. I just hated her because I was so jealous of her, because she took my dad's attention away, But if other people did that in my life, I'm like, oh, yay. Like, it was actually good qualities she had. But I just couldn't stand it because, it made my dad like her more, Like, my dad's like, your sister's nice. I'm like, don't even tell me that. I don't want to look at her face. Like, I don't want to hear that she's nice, So you feel jealous of them. That's a sign that you hate someone. You constantly compare yourself to them. Like, you can't even help it, but you're looking and you're like, oh, they have a nicer skirt than me, or they have you're always comparing. And then you feel so good when you one-up them. Like maybe they're not wearing a nice outfit or something that makes them look off, you know, and you're like, yes, they look bad today. Oh, I feel so good, you know? And you wish they would disappear. You would just wish they would disappear. You never have to see them again, right? You avoid them at all costs, right? Because you don't want to see them, you don't want to hear them, you don't want to know anything about them, you just avoid them at all costs. Your blood boils when you see them, right? And when they do something good, you never appreciate them, you don't thank them, you don't compliment them, you're just like, oh, God. Because it brings you down when you see they do something good, you know? And then you feel happy when you see them suffering. When you see them doing something that makes you, because it makes you feel good, right? And then all roads lead back to our Ahankara, okay? So when the Ahankara, which is our sense of identity, which you know by now, but when it gets threatened, then we hate that person who threatened us because they made us feel inferior. So it's just the same thing that I keep showing, you know? That's all it is. Ways to threaten someone's Ahankara, okay? Here's some ways you can, if you wanted to, I'm not saying you do, but just here's ways that would make somebody feel threatened, their Ahankara. You ignore them, because then they feel like they don't exist, right? And their whole thing is about Ahankara wanting to be inferior and big and great and special. You reject them. You tell them no. You can even test it on someone that you're close with, you know, and they're like, hey, you want to go do this? And you're like, no. They'll be like, whoa. It makes your Ahankara shake, right? All right, you're getting into fight mode right away, you know. Criticize them to their face, you know, and even if you don't think it's a criticism, if you're like, hey, you know, I was thinking maybe next time you could, and the Ahankara is already like, next time, you know. You disagree, you know, I don't agree with you, you know, already the Ahankara is going to flare up, you know. Or you say, that's wrong. The way you're doing that is wrong. That's going to make the Ahankara just be like, really? You think you know more than me about what's right and what's wrong? You know? And if you have a strong Buddha, you can bite your tongue and control yourself. Your face might get contorted, but you're like, okay, thank you for telling me that. Oh, you know. Or if you're disrespectful to the person. So everybody has their Ahankara of who they think they are, what position they're in compared to you. And it's doing it all day long. Okay, somebody new here who's higher than me. Oops, I don't like that. Oh, there's somebody lower than me. Whew, thank God. You know, and if somebody lower than you does something to make you feel lower than them, that is like very disrespectful, and the Ahankara freaks out about that. So if you're better than them, if you're smarter or prettier or more skillful or whatever the thing is you think you're good at, you know, if you tell them what to do, I think I said that. If you're more successful, like you're not even doing anything, but you do something that you're more successful in them related to something they think they're successful at, that is very triggering to the Ahankara, you know. It's like, oh, you know, come, like, whatever it is that your specialty is, and now somebody comes, and somebody just say who you care about, just say you have a husband, and your husband's like, oh, look, this person is really good at stamp collecting. They have more stamps, and just say that's your thing. And they have more stamps. Look at, can they show you all their stamps? I've invited them to dinner, and you're just like, you know, like, take your stamps and flush them down the toilet. I don't want to see your stamps. Because my husband thought I had the best stamp collection until now, you know, and so then you would be very happy if their stamps actually fell out of the box and then burned in the fire. You'd kick the stamps into the fire, right? And then you'd kick her too and be like, oh, sorry, did you get burned? You know? That's Ahankara. That's Ahankara. You know, we all try to repress that, but that's what the Ahankara is doing, you know? And so we have also, this is a good one, and especially related to if you have a spiritual society like we do, where there's one guru, and everybody wants to have a relationship with the guru, right? So if somebody has a closer relationship with the guru than you have, that's very triggering to the Ahankara. I mean, it's triggering to any relationship, but especially when you have a lot of people and one main person that everybody's trying to make the relationship with, right? And imagine if that guru is giving attention or praise to someone else that's other than you. That is very in front of you. So you're sitting here and being like, oh, you know, did you know she is so good at, and especially, even if she's good at anything, she bakes the best cakes, and just say you don't bake cakes at all. Just the fact that she does something good and he's giving attention, you're just like, what about me? What about me? You know, but if he says she makes the best cakes and you also bake cakes, that is just the most incredibly, it just makes the Ahankara like burning inside. And you're like, oh, that's nice, you bake cakes? When are you leaving? let me try to book your ticket a little few days earlier, help you out the door. Don't let it hit you on the butt on the way out, So the Ahankara hates that, And then if you tell them you can do something better than they do, you say, I can do that better than you. You just say it. And even worse is if you go and do it. So just say you think you're really good at something, and then someone comes in. Just say you're in the kitchen baking the cake, and then somebody comes in and they just move your stuff over and they start baking the cake. And that actually, I'm bringing it up because it happens a lot of time with seva, right? We're all trying to do service to the guru, and sometimes the lines get crossed. And maybe it's unintentional even. Sometimes it's intentional, I don't know. But the Ahankara is always trying to show, I can do more, I can do better. And that's very triggering to the Ahankara. This is my seva. This is mine. This is my boundary, and someone comes in. So it's not really that they're coming in to help. They're coming in because their Ahankara wants to feel better. Not really because it's like a sattvic collaborative thing. Because if it was, it would have it happen in a different way. So next week I'm going to do a guru and his students' Ahankara example of Royal Rajasi Dasi. And we're going to analyze her, okay, together. And we're going to try to trigger her Ahankara, okay? So this week, if you can, I'd like to see you guys practice not threatening someone else's Ahankara, but watching your Ahankara and see if it gets threatened in this way, And also this. Don't try to analyze someone else's if they're hating me. Try to analyze yourself and be like, is there anybody who I just cannot even stand seeing them or wish they would disappear or I can't stand their voice? Or try to watch yourself because nobody's Ahankara is probably past that point. There's some of it, going along there. So try to see if you can catch that in yourself and also catch if your Ahankara has been threatened. That's the homework. And next week I'll ask you if anybody's brave enough to share. To tell on their Ahankara, okay? So thank you guys very much for participating. That was fun today. And if anybody kept your gum, congratulations. It's still in your mouth? Okay, you got it. Okay, Haribol. Yes. Okay, maybe we can ask one. I think Babaji will be here in like 1 minute.
This Keshava Priya?
Okay.
Yes, Joshika, I was wondering, there are certain of these difficult persons that we don't want to be around them, or we don't want them in our close circle. For example, I dodge negative persons. The moment I'm around a negative person, all my alarm bells go off, and then I just want to be around them. And I was wondering, is that a bad thing to shun away from certain of these bad personality types, especially in a spiritual community?
Yeah, the whole idea is that we all come together and serve no matter whatever the personality is, and we're able to have compassion for everybody. And that starts with having compassion for yourself by seeing your samskaras of what's triggering you so much about this difficult person, because usually it has to do with either a mother or father who treated you in some way that's mimicking how this person's, who you call difficult, is treating you. And also Babaji's our guide. Whoever's difficult in the spiritual community, somehow Babaji's getting along with everybody, right? So he's teaching us how to be loving and kind and compassionate and empathetic towards every person, and to see the good in everybody, and to see that how we get triggered, that's our stuff we have to work through. And he even says, be grateful for that person. Oh, thank God, that person came in my life so I can see my stuff. But I'm also going to go into that in future lectures, not next week, but at some point on how to deal with difficult people so you can have smooth relations.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Haribol.